pleasure to learn Torah together with our alumni and our friends of the Yeshiva, and it's a great opportunity to learn a little bit about the Chanukah holiday, Haba Aleinu L'Tova. Specifically, I wanted to discuss what I think is the yesod, a foundation of what Chanukah is all about, and something that we say every single day of Chanukah, 3 times a day, maybe even more if we have Sudas, then that's the Al HaNisim. We say Mechukei Ritzonecha. What does that mean, Mechukei Ritzonecha, when we say this in the Al HaNisim? So I saw a beautiful idea that's written by the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshivat Kaf HaChaim, named for, of course, the Kaf HaChaim, Rav Yaakov Chaim Sofer. His name is actually also Rav Yaakov Chaim Sofer in Yerushalayim. And he says a beautiful idea. He says, what is a chok? So we know classically of Jews, we have so many of our mitzvos that are chukim, things that we can't explain. However, we do them anyway. Typical example, of course, of the chok of chukim u'mishpatim. So certainly we have shatnez, but we know, of course, the parah aduma itself. The things that we follow today, we just do without understanding. So he says that the reason why we say in Al HaNisim Mechukei Ritzonecha is because of the unbelievable idea of the Yevonim and what they try to do to the Jewish people. They try to destroy us spiritually. And therefore the Yevonim were very, very smart in what they did. They were intellectuals. And what did they do? They started to take away, they had gezeros. They had enactments of what the Jews weren't allowed to do. And if you look at the first enactment, so what did they take away from the Jews? So they took away Shabbos, they took away Milah, they took away Rosh Chodesh. Why dafka did they take away these things? Why did they take away those things? So says Rav Sofer beautifully the following. It's pashut. These things were chukim. An intellectual need to explain it. And the Yevonim went to the Jews and said, I don't understand your Milah. That's a horrible thing. In those days, nobody was doing Milah. How can you do that to an 8-year-old baby? Doesn't make any sense. An 8-day-old baby, excuse me. How can you do that? So says the Yevonim to the Jews, you're actually right. And that Rosh Chodesh, does that make any sense? What are you guys doing over there? You're praying to the moon? What are you doing? And they started going through the mitzvahs that are chukim, and the Jews said, you know what? It is difficult to understand because we don't have an explanation for it. And they started that way, and the Jews then started to assimilate Rahman al-Islam. Because they started with those things that are chukim. Really, what's the foundation of being a Jew is that we don't understand everything. And then he says beautifully that is the yesod of what we are as Jews and what we accomplish on the holiday of Chanukah. In fact, by the way, the whole idea, the word Chanukah itself, Chanukah HaMizbeach, Chanukah comes from the word chinuch. Right? The idea of chinuch is the foundation. What do we teach our children? What do we start with? So it's interesting that in many yeshivot, when it says that when a child is 5 years old in Pirkei Avos, Chamisha L'Mikra, what do they teach him? They teach him Vayikra. Vayikra Dafka, Korbanot. They teach about Korbanot. Things that are really chukim itself. It's very difficult for us to understand in this humane society. How did we have korbanot in the times of the Beit HaMikdash? But we learn about that. We learn about chukim. That's what we start with. And that's a very important idea because these are ways as a korban, as kiruv, is to get closer to Hashem. And that's what keeps us as Jews, is the chukim. And then he says something unbelievable and beautiful. He says that the Yeshivat writes in his siddur that if you look at the tefillah of Al HaNisim, it has 108 kufchet otiyot in it. Depends on which siddur you have. You could count it and come back to me and let me know which siddurim has it, which don't. Some of the old siddurs have exactly 108. And what is that? Chok. Chok. Because the yesod is chok. We are Jews, we don't understand. It's very interesting. There's a pasuk we say every single day in the Pesukei Zimra. Mishpatim chukim mishpatim liYisrael la asachen l'chogoy mishpatim balidaum hallelujah. So Rav Aaron Soloveitchik asked, wait a minute, we have chukim and mishpatim. What makes us similar and dissimilar to the other nations? They have mishpatim. Just like we have laws, they have laws as well. In fact, some of the laws are similar. Right? They might do kibbut avim, we do kibbut avim. They give charity, we give tzedakah. It's the same. Those are mishpatim. Lo asachen goy. God did not do lo asachen goy mishpatim. So Rav Aaron said, I don't understand. He should say lo asachen goy uchukim balidam. So he says no, because our mishpatim are different. The bottom line: why do we do mitzvot? Why do we follow these things? Because Hashem said. Start to make explanations why. That's not important. Hashem wants us to get closer to Him. He has mitzvos. It's a chok, it's a mishpat. I can explain it, I can say, that doesn't matter. And that's what a Jew has to understand. We can't explain everything. And in this year especially, when we've seen, Rahman al-Islam, so much tragedy. Only a few weeks ago we saw the terrible, terrible butchering
in Har Nof. And we experienced this summer Sukkeitan and our 3 boys. We can't explain it. Sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes we have to say, yes, this is a ma'aminim, b'nei ma'aminim is not understanding. Eino milvado means we don't always, we can't always explain why things are. Sometimes giving explanations is not always the most appropriate thing. And that's what the holiday of Chanukah is. That's what chinuch is. You know, my son asked me, I happened to be recruiting in America, and my 8-year-old son Aaron said to me, Abba, I don't understand something. How could Hashem have done this horrible tragedy, but especially in Har Nof? How could it be? They were wearing their tefillin, they were middle of Shemona Esrei. Isn't it true that Hashem, we learned together, my son said, He doesn't harm those that are involved in mitzvahs. So instead of being the palpel and looking in, maybe, I said, you know what? You're right, Abba. We are Jews, and things are chukim, and we don't understand everything. And I can't explain everything to you. I'm sorry, I can't. But that's what it is to be a mom, and that's what we teach each other. That's chinuch. That's what Chanukah is about. The Yavanim, intellectually, they wanted to take away from us. So intellectually, we have to know we're much higher than that. Yes, we have amuna, what we call amuna pshuta, but amuna to the level that we are able to say, I don't need to understand everything. Somebody comes here on the college campus and says, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah, great. I don't have to explain everything to you, right? You can look into it, you can open up Svarim, and you can come to it with an answer the next day. You don't have to. I believe because I believe. And that's the yesod of being a Jew, and that's why Chanukah is so important. Not everything intellectually has to make sense, and we live in a generation where if it doesn't make sense, so don't do it. No, that's not true. We are maminim b'nei maminim. We celebrate this unbelievable holiday. Al hanisim v'al neflos v'al tshuvos. Even the milchamos we mention, because even the milchamos we don't understand them, but we know they're good for us. Everything Hashem has done, mishpatim uchukim, was done for good reason to help us serve Hashem, so we can get closer to Hashem, so we get closer and doing what Hashem wants us to do on this earth. We should be zocheh to take this wonderful, wonderful message of Chanukah with us, and take a message with us to our children as well. Chinuch is all about that idea. Teach them the chukim mishpatim, but it's okay, sometimes we don't understand. That's the best answer we can give them. We don't have all the explanations all the time. Wonderful, great, no problem. We should be zocheh to have a chag urim sameach to the ultimate level, that we should be zocheh to go up to Har HaBayis and be able to light the beautiful menorah in the Beis HaMikdash in the Hey Rav Yamin.